Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a very early Friday morning edition of ADRP Live. Friday, as we suggested, we were going to be very privileged and honoured to have the founder and president of Aeromotive, door slammer to us, pro mod to them, racer, and just all-round nice guy, according to our expat, Mr. Vic Wood. We have Steve Matusek on the call today. G'day, Steve. How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
We're going very well over here, thank you. Unfortunately, somebody must have suggested there was a drag race in town because it's raining here in Melbourne today. So,
well, I wish we had a little of that. It's 20s here, and we're supposed to get an ice storm this weekend.
Now, when you say 20s, for us out here, that's below freezing, isn't it?
That's correct. It's probably about 5 below for you.
Awesome. That'd be a lovely way to get to work today. Now, a couple of things we wanted to touch on with Aeromotive. Steve, you guys made a big announcement at PRI. I'll let our viewers know about that. Talk us through what you guys did out at the PRI show.
Well, we'd like to take advantage of that venue to talk about news and what's new, and we had some really exciting news, something we've been working on for quite some time. We acquired Waterman Racing Components. We're really excited about that company because it's a legacy company in our industry. Sid's been around. It's going to be 50 years April 1st, which he jokes about on April Fool's Day. Known Sid for quite some time. Our companies are very similar about the approach we take to this industry, our passion for what we do. But interestingly enough, there's not a lot of crossover. So very excited to team up with him and his company. Very excited to learn more about what they do and apply it to both companies. So we're going to leave everything intact. We're going to keep the name because it's an invaluable brand. Sid's going to stay on with us as a consultant and help with R&D with new products. And it's another mountain to climb. We're just very excited to even have the opportunity to work with such a legend in our industry.
Amazing. That's 50 years is a long time, and I think that would be, from afar, I see a lot of similarities in your companies. I mean, he was a racer, saw a need, created a pump, created a product. You guys have done very much the same. You're a grassroots racer and now a pro mod racer yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, once it gets in your blood, as you're aware, and I'm sure everybody that's tuning in is aware, it's a passion. The only problem with drag racing is it's legal. So once you get that needle stuck in your arm, it's hard to get it out. But there are a lot of worse things that you can do, and I truly enjoy the industry, enjoy racing. I have a great adoration for the people. It's a way of life. I do it. My dad did it. My girls have done it. It's just what we do. So I'm just very fortunate to be able to do what I love, not just from a hobby perspective, but also from a professional perspective, and mix the two together. So it's been awesome.
Thank you for that, mate. You to get the Australian flavour into today, as we are Australian drag racing promotions. Your colleague behind the camera here at the moment, Vic Wood. He's an expat Aussie. He did a huge amount for drag racing over here. How's it going controlling him and letting him have free reign over there?
It's easy. I mean, we're not control freaks. What's so important to us is the quality of our products and our brand and doing things the right way. And to have somebody come into our organization and to share that same passion and understand the consumer or understand how the people use our products at the consumer level, and understand what it's like to be at a drag race, rain, shine, thrashing all hours of the night, wondering why you ever started this in the first place, but having that love-hate relationship, with that industry or those types of venues, you can't teach that. So when he came in, he hit the ground running. There's a lot of, we're a very technical company. We're very niche-oriented and very focused on fuel systems. So technologically, there's a lot to learn, and it takes quite a few years to get up to speed. and it's even to the point now, and I'm proud to say that I can't even give tech seminars anymore. I mean, we've branched out in so many different areas that there are a lot of people here that have taken the ball and they're running with it, Vic being one of them. And it's I'm proud to see or sit back and let some of the younger generation people take over, go out and continue to be ambassadors for our company and assist in the development process of new products. So having him in the fold, it was a natural, and we're just glad to be able to work together.
Yeah, well, our loss is your gain. He was a great man here in Australia, did a lot for Australian drag racing in the NHRA level, the contingency program, and yeah, we miss him, but we're pretty glad that he's over there helping an awesome company like yours.
He does have one giant flaw, and the Dallas Cowboys fan. So if I had to say anything negative, that would be a huge negative. Other than that, it's okay.
Sadly, that comes through my Facebook feed on a regular basis, so I can understand your pain. Now, you touched a little there on the younger generation. The Aeromotive side of your business is very focused on electrical pumps, fuel injection pumps. Where do you see us? We had a chat with Wes Buck the other day about the Vic and I vintage versus bringing the youth through drag racing. Where do you see the youth and drag racing headed over there?
It's concerning. I mean, and I've got a great story that goes back. How much time do we have?
As much as you want, sir.
A few years ago, being fanatical about cars and having a family that's what we do, I set out and I got my wife a 1957 T-Bird for Christmas. And I had an elaborate plan of going out and getting one of the die-cast models, from the toy store, putting the keys in the trunk, and having her unwrap the toy and open the trunk and the keys, and then the car was hidden in the garage. So, I mean, there was an elaborate plan, and I thought, no big deal. So it's the week of Christmas, and I'm like, okay, I better get out to that toy store. And at this time, my youngest daughter's, in her 20s or late teens at the time. So I go to the toy store, and I couldn't believe it. I'm walking around, and they had electronics. They had these cars that turn into robots. They had some little Hot Wheels cars, but no cars, and no die-cast, no cars like when we were young, and we could get trucks, fire trucks, cars, whatever, anything with four wheels we were able to buy and play with. And it got me thinking that, that's a problem for our industry, because our younger generation, you develop the love of the automobile early, children, you start to gravitate toward what you're around and what you get used to playing with, and I felt that probably is as much of a negative to our industry as anything. So I'm concerned about it. There are a lot of programs out there. NHRA has, their junior dragster series that all three of my girls participated in. I know some of the dirt track and mini sprint type venues have, younger kids that are able to get in car and race and open wheel type go-karts. But we're not doing enough. And, when you look at the demographics of our consumer, they're getting older and older. So it is a concern. And then fast forward to what's happening today with, the street outlaws, the reality TV shows. As much as I don't like them because I don't think it's safe, not necessarily what they do, because we all know that it's not reality TV. It's all staged.
Yes.
And we know that. But what does it say to a young, impressionable teenager that's just learning to drive? He may not know that. And then he gets into a car, and when you start going fast in an uncontrolled environment, that's dangerous. I mean, you get strapped into a drag car, and you have all your safety, and you have the track prep, and the ambulance there, and all the medical staff. That's one thing. That's a controlled environment. But you get on a road, and there's uneven pavement, or the weather isn't quite right. Bad things can happen, and you don't have to be going 250 miles an hour. You can hurt yourself going 40 miles an hour, let alone racing on the street. So I don't like the fact that they're been so popular. And strangely enough, when you look at those, Big Chief, and I kind of go all over the place, but Big Chief came out and he ran at Indy with us, the U.S. Nationals.
Yeah, we saw that.
He tried to qualify. And what the ironic part about that is his dream is to drive a Pro-Am car. I mean, everybody watches him and everybody thinks, and he is a celebrity, wants to be like him. But what's ironic about it is he wants to be like us. So I think that's interesting how he wants to use that platform to be able to get sponsors and propel him to be able to run NHRA Pro Mod. So again, that's interesting. But now that I've come full circle with all that, I think that is bringing awareness to racing again, bringing awareness to vehicles. Albeit I don't like, the uncontrolled street racing part of it. At least now the viewership and the demographics are reaching the level and bringing in some new potential consumers and enthusiasts that we weren't reaching through our normal venues. So in some ways it's bad, but in other ways I think it's a positive in trying to get new blood into our sport.
Okay. Now, we spoke with Wes about it, and Donald Long's pushing a lot. His Lights Out race at the moment, giving Big Chief a little bit of stick on Facebook. Apparently, he mustn't be going to turn up. But those Donald Long races, the Outlaw Radials, the No Prep, that's bringing a younger generation in, and it's probably on the back of those sort of television shows that you're talking about. So I tend to agree with you that I don't like the danger side of it and the foolishness of pretending that it's really street racing, whereas it actually is a closed environment and a relatively safe environment compared, not as safe as NHRA or IHRA over here. But yeah, look, I think we're pushing hard to get the youth back involved. It's a sad statistic that our average age is in the 40s to 50s. So it's your product range is very much sort of that high-end performance street product from what we've seen so far. Obviously, though, I mean, your Aeromotive Pro Mod would be running one of your pumps.
That's correct. I mean, and I'm proud of the fact that we're the type of company that our racing really does transcend. We do it purposeful. Virtually everything that we make here and sell, we develop for a reason. We don't do many, if any, Me Too products. We go to the racetrack. We're problem solvers. We'll go out there and experience it and talk to some of our people that compete against us in our class or some other classes, and try to isolate and evaluate things that are going on. And to us, that's our opportunity to develop new products, to grow our company. And once you satisfy somebody's problem, once you develop something to solve a problem, you don't have to really sell it then. If people understand why you did it and it solves their problem, it'll fly off the shelf. And we've been fortunate. Now, not every product we come out with is a winner, but, unlike a lot of other companies, and there are a lot of companies that follow us, and they duplicate what we do. And it's interesting, even in this era of, you have these roll-ups and these investment companies coming in and buying 5 or 10 different companies, and they lose, people like Sid that were the pioneers, that were truly creative and did things for a reason. They lose that, and then their business model is to go off and copy everybody else's product. It's almost like they have a Xerox machine. That's all they do is copy everybody else's product. Now you're even seeing China do some of that. So our strategy has been to stay so far ahead of everybody that once they try to start to knock off some of our products, we're 2 steps ahead. We continually improve what we're doing and come out with new versions. But you can only do that if you understand what problem you're solving. And that's why we're so active at the racetrack. And now we're going to be so active in NASCAR and in dirt track and in sprint cars, because we're going to have access to that with the acquisition of Sid and his locations and his people. So it's very exciting, because we're going to learn a lot about a lot of different forms of motorsports that we really didn't follow in the past. Okay,
that'll be great. So you mentioned the racetrack. Tell us a little about that amazing Pro Mod that you drive.
It's an interesting team. I mean, the car is tuned by Jimmy Rector. The team is owned by Danny Rowe. And, when I stepped into the team, I mean, let's face it, I didn't go your normal blower car route. I went to like one of the top tier tuners in the world. So when I start to depict what it's like to drive a blower car versus people that maybe have gone through the ranks of, tuning it, learning it all themselves, it probably wasn't as steep of a learning curve as some other people had to go through. I've driven turbo stick cars, I've had Liberties, a 5-speed Liberty, and a twin turbo Pro Mod in the past. So I've been through it all, and I've lived, on the edge of those types of cars. So getting on that team, having the best of the best and the best people, and having the camaraderie, has been really, really made it fun for me again, because I've always been the type of person where I go to the racetrack and I like to get involved with the data in the car and the tuning and be part of the car and the driver's part of the car. And I always thought that, I really did enjoy that. But now, all they let me do is pack the chutes. So if I go in and look at the data, Jimmy basically kicks me out. If you know Jimmy Rector, he's about, 5'10", 340 pounds. He's, he is very strong, and it's not a really heavy 340 pounds. It's a massive 300, big hands, big shoulders. So when he tells you get out of the trailer, you get out of the trailer. So, but it's been interesting because to not stay so focused on my own stuff, and I get to look around and I get to share things with other people, and it even helps with us learning more about other combinations because I'm freed up a little bit, and I have the success of being in a very successful car with a great team. So it's been a lot of fun. Okay,
so you get to pack the chutes. Do you have a clutch to play with, or are you a converter car?
Oh no, a button is for a super gas car. I've never, if you're doing this, you're not racing as far as I'm concerned. I mean, and anything that I just think that if it's a real race car, it should have a clutch. You should have to do something in the car. So I guess that tells you right there that I am a clutch guy. There are a lot of challenges to a clutch. You have an infinite window of tuning. You can do a lot of different things, and that's what makes it fun. And also, the challenge on a pro tree of having to leave off a clutch pedal versus just letting your finger off a steering wheel, or a button, it's challenging. Yeah, I'm a clutch guy. I've driven, trans brake cars. I've driven super comp cars and super gas cars, and we have a Cobra Jet Stalker that's a foot brake car. And I can appreciate that. There's some skill involved with that, but it's nothing like racing with a clutch. It's to me, that's a real race car.
Okay. Speaking of real race cars, am I correct in my guess that you are now helping out our famous legend over here, John Zappia?
Yeah, we've been working with John. I guess, was it all of last year, Vic?
Probably.
We started working with him last year, and Vic's really been spearheading that deal. And I'll get into the mechanical pump world in a second, but and interesting how I told you how there's always a necessity or a need or a problem we're trying to solve. Well, the reason we got into the gear pumps is because when I was building my first Pro Mod car, it was a twin turbo Ford powered, it was a Pro Stock style engine on methanol. And when we were starting to put everything together, look at the combinations, look at the fuel demand, we didn't have a pump big enough to supply that car. So what did we do? We're not going to use a competitor's fuel pump. So then we said, okay, we have to develop our own fuel pump. That's how we got into the gear pump business, strangely enough. And so it's progressed since then, and we've developed a lot of additional products and sizes, and now we're approved for the Heritage Series nostalgia funny cars and the front engine dragsters, and we really started to get a very good handle on it, because again, we're not saying anything negative about any of our competitors, but we're a higher level engineering company. We understand processes, procedures. The basis of this company was started or came from the aerospace industry. So we do things at a higher level, and when we really started to focus on that type of a product, we came out with a better product, and it shows, because when John put it on his car, lo and behold, he ran the quickest and fastest, I guess, any car has ever in Australia this past year. And everybody that gets involved with our product has nothing but positive things to say about it. That doesn't mean we're done. We're still improving and finding other things, and we're going to marry that product line closer to the Waterman line. And the advantage to that is that we're going to take now what Sid's learned over the past 20, 30 years. We're going to take what we've learned, and we're going to incorporate that into either brand. So we're still going to have a Waterman gear pump brand and the Aeromotive gear pump brand, but rest assured, we have a lot of technology and a lot of knowledge that's going to go into both of those products to take even what John's running now and make it even better. So we're real excited about, evolving that product line.
That sounds very exciting. We'll be looking forward to the new range and the new performance that you guys are going to hit out of the park. Steve, we've had Daniel ask, sees how you've got an Aussie there beside you, when are you coming down to race down here?
Well, my understanding is, was it Willowbank or Willow?
Yes, Willowbank is correct.
Bank just, blew their whole budget on bringing Larry Larson out there. So, I don't know what they paid him to come out there, but Larry's a good friend. He built a lot of my previous cars. It was good to see him come down there. I'd love to come out there, and we even kicked around an idea with another sanction about having a worldwide pro mod type event where you can run in different countries. The problem with all that would be the rules. I mean, you talk about pro mod, well, that could mean any one of 10 different combinations.
Yes.
So, if you want to be able to compete with parity, you have to figure out, okay, what's the rule package that will work across the board. So that would be the challenge. But yeah, I'd love to. I've never been to Australia. I've had opportunities. We've got, some great associates and partners down there with Rocket. We'd love to come out there. I'd love to race before I'm too old to be able to come down there. Maybe that's something I need to talk Danny Rowe into, because he's the guy that owns the team, and he's the guy that pays the bills.
All right. Now, you mentioned Rocket. So for those people in Australia who are looking for a world-class fuel system, Rocket is your East Coast distributor. Have you just appointed a West Coast distributor, I heard?
Who do we have on the West Coast, Vic?
Alky Pro, Greg Gower.
Alky Pro? Oh, yes, we just did. We signed them up at PRI. And they already have bought quite a few pumps. And and Rocket is more of your traditional warehouse, like what we're used to. But what's interesting about Alky Pro is they're the hardcore guys. I mean, they understand the tune-ups, the product. They're not going to carry our entire product line, but they're going to do a very good job with the Pro Mod style products, the gear pumps, things like that. So kind of things that John Zappia runs and we run. They're very proficient at it, and we've got some great relationships down there and good people waving our flag for us.
Greg is a legend out here. He's been involved with many, many very fast cars, and anyone who knows anything about blown cars suggests that he's certainly one of the top brains trusts out here. So it's awesome to have such a, as you said, a hands-on, almost bespoke dealership coming out of the Alky Pro's shop. So that's very cool.
Yep.
Mate, I know that you've got a big business to run over there. We've been honoured to have you on this morning. We would love to see you bring that gorgeous Camaro down and race down here. We'll have to settle for watching it from afar on NHRA Access All Areas. So you're not far away. NHRA Winter Nationals is very soon, but you guys don't run the whole series, do you? The Pro Mod deal.
No, and we've got some really exciting things happening. We formed our association. It's called the RPM, Real Pro Mod Association, several years back, and we're a group that's really committed to growing and preserving that class. And every year it's been getting a little bit better. The ratings at Fox Sports just came out, and the ratings have really gone through the roof. Fox is very happy, and we have our own Pro Mod show. It's a half-hour show strictly related to Pro Mod at NHRA events. So that's been going well. We went from 10 races to 12 races. So this year we're going to have 12 races. The two races that are added is the first one, the Charlotte 4Y, which that's going to be interesting. A turbo, a blown, and a nitrous car, having the stage together and running 4 wide at that racetrack and have, I think the quota there is 28 cars. We'll probably have, and then they have provisionals. We'll probably have 30 to 32 Pro Mod cars on the property running 4 wide. And the other thing that's exciting that's going to be announced is the way they're going to run us. It sounds like we're going to have the 4 qualifiers like the pros, and we're going to run on Sunday. So
wow.
At that event, so we're excited that Topeka, Harlan Park, Topeka, our home track, which is roughly 60, 70 miles from our facility, got the 12th event. So that's going to be huge for us. We're very familiar with the new ownership group. They're doing a great job with the racetrack. So our prize money, round money has increased. We've got good TV exposure. We've got good sponsorship. And NHRA is seeing the writing on the wall. It's a very popular class. It's growing in participants. There's a lot more inventory of cars out there. There's a pent-up demand to get into the events. So it's been a real positive. We're hoping that the next step is that we find a real sponsor other than, the ones that we put together through RPM that could come in and take the class over. And you hear a lot of rhetoric about that, but the fact of the matter is this: the way NHRA does things is mellow yellow covers the fuel teams and pro stock. Harley Davidson comes in and also gives some money for the bikes in addition to mellow yellow. You have Lucas Oil that puts up the money for all the sportsman teams. So when people act like NHRA doesn't want to put any money into ProMod, well, that's not the case. The case is that without major sponsorship dollars to pay the cars and to pay the teams, NHRA, there would be no Top Fuel. There would be no Funny Car. So it's no different than any other class. It's just, you know how it's been lately. I mean, money has dried up, and it's been difficult to get sponsors. And now that we have our TV show and we're getting good ratings, and the economy seems to be getting better, and we got, the Donald Trump in office, which that's going to be interesting in itself. But everybody's positive about it, and everybody's investing again. And that's going back to the Waterman thing. When, the Republicans got back control of Congress and of the executive branch of our government, everyone's positive because it's going to take a lot of tax burden off of small business. So now if you take the risk of investing, you're going to be rewarded because you're not punished for being more successful. So now people are more willing to invest and excited about it, and we're seeing it. I mean, a lot of companies in our industry are very excited, and there's been a buzz ever since PRI. There's been a buzz, and everybody's excited about this year, and we're very excited about what's happening with ProMod in the U.S.
I wasn't going to touch on politics or religion. We hadn't warmed up to see which way you were looking, but you've brought up the Donald. It's a big deal over here that he's got in. The majority of what we're hearing is positive, is that he's a little off the wall and he's a little crazy, but he's very business focused and going to make America great again. And that's you're seeing and feeling that in the industry.
Very much so. I mean, it's and let's face it, our particular segment of the our industry is very pro Republican. It's very pro small business. And if you and those are the circles I run in. So you look at your friends on Facebook, who the majority of them are my friends on Facebook, are related to the industry or racing, or the peers, or the vendors, customers. I don't see how Hillary won one state, to be honest with you. But again, that's the world I live in. Okay. And everybody's so excited because it's not going to be business as usual, and we're not going to be the embarrassment of the world. We're gonna, and you know what? People don't remember, but I'm old enough to remember that when Ronald Reagan came in office, it was the same thing. He's an actor. He doesn't know how to lead. He's going to push the button. And, these guys maybe aren't the sharpest knife in the drawer, but they know how to assemble a team. And they know how to put people together and let the people they put in office do their job. And they're not idealists. They're not doing things. I'm not saying anything about, liberal people or that individual, but if you're an idealist, that's great, but it doesn't always work. It doesn't always translate. And just because you want certain things to be certain ways, it doesn't always work like that. So you have to be a realist, and you have to look at what can you do, what can't you do, and what do you do to keep the ball rolling. So that's why I'm excited about, and I think a lot of people in our segment of this population are excited because we're going to see a difference. We're going to see a real difference. It's going to put more money back into the companies. It's going to allow us to reinvest in our companies. And when you put more money into the company. When you hire people, what do? They buy stuff. And when they buy stuff, the economy starts churning. You pay taxes on things you buy. I mean, and that's the concept versus everybody just holding back, putting their money under the pillow and waiting for the storm to pass. And hopefully the storm has passed.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll get out of the politics now. 16 car fields for Pro Mod over there in NHRA?
Yes, well, we have, and the quotas, and this is what's crazy about it, you have to pre-enter, and there's a quota for each race. And the pre-entry for Pro Mod was, I believe, January 4th, if I'm not mistaken. January 4th at 8 o'clock Pacific time, 10 o'clock Central time, you were able, if you had 8 grade points or more, and 8 grade points is a combination of how many races did you participate in the previous year or the average of the last 3 years. With 10 races, if you went to 8 of them, you could go ahead and pre-enter on January 4th. And you could pre-enter for every race, so which is 12 races. So you literally have to pay with credit card, on January 4th to be ensured that you're in. Within an hour of the entry opening up, Gainesville was full. There were 28 cars entered. The quota for just about every other event, all 11 other events, is 27 cars were entered. Indy, the quota is 34, I believe. So talk about, pent up demand and momentum. There are already people shut out from being able to enter Gainesville because of how many people are trying to get into the race. So now you take that and you got, and then there are provisionals and they get in, it gets very complicated. But when you take that and say you have 30, 32 cars, I think last year we averaged 27 cars an event. It's a 16-car field with 3 qualifiers. So what's exciting about it, that final round of qualifying on Saturday is a bloodbath, and it's one of the most exciting. And if you talk to some of the announcers, Brian Loans being one of them, and he's very good. That is one of the most exciting sessions in every race because the fuel cars, let's face it, 16 cars show up, everybody's in. So they use the 4 qualifiers as a test session or placing where they're going to be in the ladder. Funny car, same deal. Pro stock, they couldn't get 16 cars in a lot of events. But Pro Mod, you got 30 in Indy, 34 cars trying to get into a 16-car field. And it's brutal. I mean, I finished 5th in the points last year. I was the highest finishing blower car in all of NHRA Pro Mod, and we didn't qualify for Indy. The bump in Indy was an 88 with a 2, I believe, and we ran an 88 with a 5. Wow. So, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's very competitive, but that's what we love about it. I mean, we got some pretty good parity. The turbo cars seem to be out a little bit out front, but there was just another rule change that came through NHRA where they're going to give the blower cars 20 over again instead of 14.5 over on a roots blower. And they're allowing the nitrous cars, they're down 25 pounds. But, it's the best of the best. The tracks are awesome. We run on time. We run on schedule. And it's of those 28 to 32, 34 cars that show up, probably 95% of them can win the race. And 16 of them go home. So of those 16, probably 15 of them, if they qualify, could win the race. That's how competitive it is. So good news, bad news. Good news is that we got the momentum, we got the cars, we got the competition. Bad news is we got the cars, we got the competition. Because as a racer, last thing you want to do is not qualify for somewhere like Indy. But it's a great class, and we're very proud of what we've been able to put together with NHRA.
I was going to let you go, but I want to ask you one last question, a little bit technical, I guess, about your car. So you touched on that it's a roots blower. Now, as Vic would educate you, over here where all the fast door slammers in this country, bar the Moit's turbo car, are screw blown. We're PSI driven. You guys, you've just touched on you were only at 14.5 over, you're now allowed to go to 20. How are you getting 88s, as you said, out of a non-screw blown, low overdrive car? I mean, that's amazing.
Well, think about it. I mean, and you think about how progressive these teams are. The car has to weigh a minimum of 2,600 pounds. No lockups. You can run a converter or clutch, but you're not allowed to run lockups. for the past 3 or 4 years, or maybe even 5 years, I don't know how long it's been now, the rule was 14.5 over on a roots blower. No screw blowers were allowed. Maximum cubic inch is 526, so some of the things are standard, but at the end of the day, I think that shows you a little bit about the tuning prowess of someone like Jimmy Rector. I mean, I've been as quick as a 580 flat. Danny's been a 79 with his car. There have been a couple of blower cars that have cracked into the 70s with roots blowers, but to run 80s at over 250 in a roots blown car that weighs 2,600 pounds, I mean, it's quite an accomplishment. But that's a standard. But the other thing is that the level of cost associated with those blowers and that technology is out of this world. The screw thing. There's been some talk about screw blowers, but there's also some concern because of the SFI requirement, the ability of those manufacturers, the one manufacturer, to be able to supply the product and keep up with the demand and keep up with. So I think that's been the main reason why we haven't seen a screw combination come into the fold with NHRA Pro Mod. But I can tell you this much: if a screw-blown car or a screw blower was approved, it would only probably be at about 92 over. It wouldn't be, an excessive overdrive, which is a lot of overdrive. But I believe, some of these combinations run whatever overdrive or well into the hundreds. But yeah, it's a unique combination. It's getting a lot of power out of very little, and but I get the cost comes in, right? I mean, it's a tough game, a lot of technology, but it's a great field, a great bunch of guys. If anybody ever gets a chance, come in the NHRA Pro Mod pits or in the staging lanes, because we like it, because we all pretty much get along. We're a family. We get it. We give each other a hard time and tease. It's a love-hate relationship. But then, I would ask everyone to go into the pro stock lanes when they're getting ready to run and see what that atmosphere is like. Or if you go into, the fuel range, you don't see the camaraderie that you see in the Pro Mod range. And I think that's what people love about it. Virtually everybody runs a class as a business owner. We're all doing it because we want to do it. Most cars are sponsored by the owners as opposed to, an outside sponsor. So you see a lot of affluent people that are doing this because they love to do it. And it's just a different formula than having, and even if you watch the show last year wasn't as good, I don't think, as it was in the past, because you see the personalities come out. We don't have to worry about getting a phone call from a big sponsor if we said something that we shouldn't have said on TV. And that's what makes the shows entertaining, is we let loose, we talk about things, and, there's some heated rivals, there's emotion, and most of the guys aren't afraid to show it. So that's, I think, why the show is gaining popularity. But again, we're able to do that because if I say something on TV, I'm not going to fire myself. I'm paying for it anyway. So it's real, and we don't have anything staged, and it's just a great class, great bunch of guys. None of us running that class want to do more than 12 races. That's about the limit for us. But we do have a preseason test in Orlando at the end of February. Last weekend in February, we're going to be running with the Lucas Oil Division class, and we were invited in, and we're going to test all week, and we're going to have a purse, and we're going to qualify 16 cars and run in Orlando the 24th, 5th, and 6th of February. We'll get 3 qualifiers, run on Sunday, and that'll be a preseason warm-up for us. And then a few weeks later, we're going to roll right into Gainesville and start the season. So if you technically, that's a 13th race for us for the RPM group that is going to also roll into the 12 NHRA races.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, I think you've touched on almost everything. We're so grateful to have you our time this morning, your afternoon Thursday. The very best of luck to you at the racing, and I don't need to give Aeromotive luck. You guys are, that old saying, if you make your own luck, you guys are certainly at the forefront of what you do, and we're grateful for your time this morning, and thankful to Vic for organising it. So hopefully everyone got some really interesting information about NHRA Pro Mods and Aeromotive fuel pumps out of that. So thank you so much for your time, Steve.
Yeah, and you know, everybody out there, if you have any hate mail related to Dallas, do you have Vic's email address? You can send it directly to Vic. I don't understand that, you know, Dallas Cowboys really, but
well, he had to pick a bad team over there. He supports Richmond over here, so I mean, gosh, it's just all bad.
I think he did have a pretty bad accident years ago, didn't he? And he like this guy. We're over now. It's finished. Didn't he used to wear a leather helmet and he had a bad crash or something? And you know.
Yeah, well.
I don't know there, but
sounds like a Dallas Cowboys and a Richmond fan are very similar.
I appreciate the opportunity and the time, and you know, if anybody ever needs anything in the way of product or technical support, please don't hesitate to call. And if anyone ever has any issues, again, we like to hear the good with the bad. And never hesitate. And we're not perfect, but we try really hard. And if we don't do something right, we'll figure it out. So again, we love this industry. We like to be out there. I'd love to come out and hang out with you guys and race with you guys. And maybe we need to do that sooner than later. So
that'd be awesome.
Put something together. You know how to get a hold of me. I'd be all in.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Steve. We'll let you go, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Cheers.